Well, Jesus is speaking to us in Matthew 27 about the end times. What's going to happen in the end? And he says in verse number 7, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, one group of people, one entity, one nation against another. He said, and then there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. So false Christ, wars, rumors of wars, and then he says, then there will be famines. Now, as a result of war, there will be famine. We've seen that how food prices have escalated, and this is inflation that is affecting us all around the world. Food prices going up because of the war in Ukraine. Then we've got sometimes flow of oil from one country to another being affected, being cut off, being cut back, and things like that. So there's a huge disruption in our food supply, our energy supply. Kingdom against kingdom, there'll be famines and there will be earthquakes. Now, those war is not going to cause earthquakes, but here we've been seeing also an escalation. Scientists have shown that, well, there's been this increase in the number of intense, severe earthquakes in decades, going back to 6, 7 decades now. So all of these things are happening. And Jesus, this is 2,000 years ago, predicted, he prophesied, he told us these are the things that's going to happen. And we're seeing those things happening now. So we know that the end time is really upon us. And he said, all these are but what? The beginning of the birth pains. When a woman throughout a pregnancy, as she's preparing 9 months at the end of pregnancy, she's going to bring a child into the world. But later in the pregnancy, she has these contractions that are preparing her for delivery. It's the Braxton Hicks contractions. And then when she goes into labor, she doesn't just deliver the baby immediately, but she goes into birth pain. There's early labor, sometimes there's false labor, then there's early labor, and then she goes into actual labor, preparing for the delivery. All these are about the beginning of the birth pain. So what's going on? Jesus said with these wars and rumors of wars, nation rising against a nation, kingdom against kingdom, earthquakes and famines. He said these are but the beginning of the birth pains. So we know that things are really beginning to heat up as we're coming down to the end. And what an end that's going to be. He says, then they will deliver you up. So here's another sign. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and put you to death. And you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. So here is it that Christians are going to be facing intense tribulation. They're going to be facing persecution. They will deliver you up to tribulation and put even death. So many people are dying today. And as we follow the news, we look at things like persecution.net, Voice of the Martyrs, and so on, and we see how many Christians are facing that they're being burnt, they're being crucified, thrown out of their homes, losing their jobs, persecuted in many different parts of the world. Christians are facing intense persecution because they believe in Jesus. And that's what Jesus did say. They will deliver you up to tribulation. They're going to put you to death. You're going to be hated by all nations for my name's sake. Now that's something that's interesting and probably hits to the core of many Christians, because people want to be liked. People want others to like them and appreciate them and value them and so on. He said, listen, as a follower of Christ, you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And more you'll see Christianity sort of being pushed to the fringes of society as being weird and unacceptable, undesirable by the masses. That is happening, and that will continue to get worse.